Okay guys, today what we're going to look at is solving quadratic inequalities. Okay, you've done linear inequalities, so for example, if we had 2x plus 4 is greater than 10, okay, all we would have to do is minus 4 from both sides. Then we get 2x is greater than 6, divide both sides by 2, and we get x is greater than 3. So this was solving a linear inequality. These are quite straightforward and very simple. You don't need to do any more than that. You get a final answer. However, with a quadratic inequality, it's a little bit different. You've already done these with the graphs, so you've done this graphically already. Okay, and now it's time to look at this algebraically, okay, because normally we don't give you those intersection points. Okay, so in the past, you will have gotten something like this, where we have an axis. Okay, we have a nice parabola like this one, and we have a nice line that looks something like this. Okay, and we want to know, for example, where the parabola is below the straight line. Okay, this is what you've been given so far. Now we're going to look at this algebraically now. So let's give these both a value. So let's say that we have x squared. Okay, that's our parabola. And we want to know where it's below the green line, as I said. So let's make that x, oops. Let's make that x plus 2. Okay, so we want to know where x squared is smaller than or less than x plus 2. Okay, now the first step when we do this is that we need to be able to find the values of these intersection points. Okay, and this is what you haven't had to do so far. So normally, with the ones we've given you so far, you haven't needed to find these two values because we've given them to you. Okay, so we've just gotten used to you finding what we're looking for. Okay, now we want you to actually do the steps yourselves and find the values of these x coordinates. Okay, so you have a quadratic equation here. Now there's two things that are really important when you do a quadratic inequality. The first is that we pretend that the inequality sign is not there. Okay, we just don't worry about it. Instead we make it an equals. So we make it x squared is equal to x plus 2. So we just ignore the inequality sign. Now people quite often ask me why we do that. With a linear equation, when we go back up here, you only get one answer. You get x is greater than 3. Okay, done. All right, and what that actually looks like, if we look at it graphically, we have 2x plus 4. So we have a line like this, and we have where is it greater than 10? And this is our line for 10. Okay, this would be 10, and this would be 2x plus 4. Okay, where is it greater than 10? Well, that can only happen in one place. So this was what we just found. This was the 3. And you can see that it was greater than 10 over here. So this way. All right, but we could just do that straight away with using our algebra. Okay, we didn't need to draw a sketch. But with quadratic equations, you know that we're going to get two values. We're going to either get the inside or the outside. Okay, we could either have that the parabola, because right here what we have, as we discussed earlier, is that this is the parabola and it's red in our graph, and we want to know where it's below the straight line. So looking at our picture firstly, where is the parabola below the straight line? Well, it's in here in the middle. Okay, we can see that. We can see that it's in the middle here. Now, we're not going to be able to express that using our equality sign straight away, using our inequality sign straight away. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to make it equals. Okay, so now we do what we normally would with solving quadratic equations, which the first step, as we discussed last lesson, is that we need to make it equal to 0. So one side of the equation must be 0. So the first thing we're going to do is minus x. Okay, we've got to do that on both sides. Okay, now we have x squared minus x equals 2. Now we're going to minus 2 from both sides. Okay, and I don't like that my equals aren't lined up, but that's okay. So we have x squared minus x minus 2 equals 0. Okay, so this was the first thing. The first thing about quadratic inequalities is that we ignore the less than sign when we're doing the calculations. Okay, we just make it equals because all we want to do is find those values. All right, the second thing that's really important when you do quadratic inequalities is that you must draw a sketch. Okay, always. I'm going to write it here. Always draw a sketch. Okay, always, always, always. And that is one of the things that we give you points for on a test. We will always allocate points for you drawing a sketch. It's part of your calculations, okay, because you need to show me that you understand that this is in between those two values. Okay, so we've already shown that on our picture. Now we just need to find what the values of those x's are. Okay, so we could also, at this point, we could already write here a circle and draw the line in between, because we know this is the part we're looking at, okay, but we still need to know what those values are. All right, now, so let's go back to our solving over here. We have x squared minus x minus 2 equals 0. We need to find two numbers that multiply to give minus 2, and they must add to give minus 1. Okay, so multiply to give minus 2 and add to give minus 1. Well, minus 2 can only be either 2 times minus 1 or 1 times minus 2. Okay, and 2 minus 1 is 1. 1 minus 2 is minus 1. Okay, so we know clearly that it's going to be these ones because this matches for both. Okay, so therefore we have x plus 1, x minus 2 equals 0. Therefore we get x plus 1 equals 0, or x minus 2 equals 0. So x equals minus 1 or x equals 2. So we now have our values in our sketch over here. So we can say this one on the left is going to be minus 1. This one on the right is going to be 2. Okay, so we have our sketch, we have our calculations, we've worked everything out. We've even said that we know it's in between minus 1 and 2. So all we need to do now is just finish it off. So we have minus 1 is less than x, which is less than 2. And we're finished. Okay, and that's it. This is how we solve a quadratic inequality. Sometimes your second equation, the green one, won't be a straight line. It may also be a quadratic. You just need to do the same thing. Okay, so move everything to the left or to the right, whichever one gives you a positive x squared value, and then solve it. Okay, always draw a sketch. And as I said, when you start solving it, ignore the inequality sign. We only use the inequality sign to decide which part of the graph suits our equation. Okay, and that's it. Good luck.